Today I would like to introduce an amazing individual. I've known Marina for 4 years. I think it's been about 4 years, and I had the pleasure of working with her entire team. She works in e-commerce, and her team sells their products to more than 50 countries in the world. I think Marina has a lot to share with those people who are learning English or who are learning anything in life, because she possesses this incredible zest for life and at the same time incredible wisdom that I honestly, fundamentally believe so many people need to hear. She has been a student of mine and a friend as well. I'm very happy to have her as a friend. I'm very happy that we have stayed in touch throughout all these years. And without further ado, let me ask Marina to introduce herself.
Thank you, Natalia. I'm Marina Kuznetsova. I was born in Krasnodar and lived there almost all my life before moving to Moscow 18 years ago. I work in the e-commerce industry and I have businesses to sell online globally. I have 2 kids, 5 pets. I live in a small city close to Moscow, and I'm enjoying this lifestyle.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for coming to this interview. When we were talking about this previously, when we were getting ready for this interview, you mentioned something that I think we should absolutely talk about today. You said that you have reassessed your life in the last 5 years, and we met about 4 years ago, right? How did your perspective change on life or on things in general?
Before that, my strong focus was always been on my career and business needs and different things around my career, my education, my lifestyle, the place where I lived. Even I moved to Moscow not because I want to live in Moscow. I just want a career shift. Mm-hmm. And definitely in Russia, if you want a career shift, it's the obvious thing, that you do, you move to Moscow. And within the last 5 years, I realized that all things that I did before wasn't for my career, it was for my family. Before that, I always said my career is first. Of course, I have family, I have kids, but I understood clearly that without my career, it's impossible to get my kids good education, good, everything that we need to grow kids, mm-hmm. like traveling, health, food, additional education, not just schools, but some courses, some sessions,
some sports activities, probably.
Sports activities, a lot of things. And so before that, I said my career is the first thing in my life.
Before that, when you say before that, do you mean 5 years ago?
About 5 years, even 5 years ago, yeah. Mm. And now I understood that it wasn't about career. All things that I did before, it was about my family, about my kids, because I want them to feel, to know that they have a strong basement, mm-hmm. strong roots, and I will always support them, and they can rely on me.
They can rely on you.
So you mean on me?
You were telling yourself that your number one value was career.
Yeah.
But is that what you're trying to say? It turned out that
I wasn't honest and clear with myself, and it's not only about my family. Many things that I was reviewing this year and as a previous year, I realized that maybe mm-hmm. if I were honest with myself and have a clear view of what I'm doing right now and why I'm doing it, maybe I would be more successful in some things, even in learning, for example, mm-hmm. right? Because for me, the first question was why I would speak English fluently. For what?
What's the point?
What's the point? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a start point for any motivation, for any activities.
Yeah, wow.
For example, if you want, for example, if I want to do split, for example.
Can you do a
Why?
split, by the way?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, because you know, fitness is my obsession for all my life.
Just like
I
mine.
know, yeah,
Just
yeah,
like mine.
the same about you, yeah. Um, and when I realized my motivation about fitness, for example, because fitness was for me all my life, even when I was pregnant. When I delivered my child, next month I was going to fitness club and started my common fitness routine. You know, some people think you are crazy. Are you okay or not? What's wrong with you?
Take your time.
Yeah,
Relax, right?
what are you doing, women? Yeah, and I was thinking, what's the difference between learning and other things? I always have motivation for fitness.
Well, can we go
do
back
it?
to this? What
Yeah.
is your why? Why are you obsessed with fitness? Like, what
Because
is your why?
I am enjoying when I am doing it, you know. And I realized that before that, for me, English, it wasn't about enjoying the process. It's about to get the point.
It's about getting to the point and
To
being,
get to get this destination where I speak fluently.
and checking it off.
Yeah,
Done.
I done.
I'm done. Yeah. Actually, when I ask myself this question about fitness, and I wake up every morning with a question: what do I feel like doing now? When I understood that I am responsible for organizing my own day, I started every morning with this question. Because to be productive, you are supposed to do many things. People will tell you you're supposed to do this, you need to have a morning routine, you need to do this and that. And I started off by asking myself this question: what do I feel like doing now? And I would ask myself this question every day for about 2 months. And it turns out that the most popular answer is, I want to move. The first thing in the morning that I need, that my body craves, is movement.
Yeah.
On some days I wanted to have a coffee, on some days I wanted to read, on some days I wanted to do nothing or work. But most of the time I wanted to move. And I realized that what this gives me when I work out in the morning, the joy of movement is the
Yeah,
number one
yeah.
thing. Just the joy of movement.
We do the things that give us joy.
Yes. Yeah.
The same with English. For me, English was like, you know, like a very boring routine. I couldn't find this moment of joy. But I was continue to find maybe the right teachers, the right people, the right environment. I was thinking maybe I should move for some, months or 2 months
To England or somewhere.
yeah, to English speaking country, and live there. Maybe it will help. But on the other hand, I know different stories about people who moved for 3, 4, 6 weeks, then get back to Russia, and it completely erases the mind and previous English experience.
What do you mean? They improved dramatically, or they didn't
No,
improve?
they didn't improve.
I used to live in Germany for 5 years, you know that, and I used to be surrounded by people who had lived in Germany for 10, 15 years. We're not talking about weeks or months. And they had very poor German skills.
Yeah.
And a very thick Russian accent, and they were okay with that. I know a lot of students who went to the United States or England just for a few weeks to take some intensive English courses. They came back to Russia, they speak the same English. Yes,
level,
maybe their listening skills have improved because they listen to a lot more English. However, I can't see any drastic changes, and they themselves say that nothing serious has happened. Yes, I got new experiences, this was very exciting, but I don't see a significant improvement that can keep me going. And I have never lived in an English-speaking country, so I think, and I can see a way for myself to keep this routine that brings me joy, because joy is the important component of making it sustainable. Like, just like with fitness or working out, if it doesn't bring me any joy, I will quit. It needs to be sustainable.
And for me, another point was I should include this routine in my life. Because, before that, when I thought that it will be the point where I speak fluently, I will do nothing.
Yeah.
I am suffering now learning English, but it will be the day when it will be stopped, and I will say, okay, I can speak.
Yes, and I made it. Yes, I made it. Now I can speak. Now I can relax, do nothing. Just like with losing weight, that's why I think people gain it back again, because they stop and they think, okay, now I can eat everything now, right? So I can do whatever. Which means they were not enjoying the process of eating healthy and taking care of their food, of their health, probably, and their meals. I want to go back to being honest, because here it's, whatever skill you take, whatever situation in life, whatever area we're talking about, it's really about being honest. I like the fact that you brought it up at the very beginning. You said that you used to think that your number one value is, as you said today, technology, career, and now you realize that your number one value is people, relationships, family. And at the same time, then you said that you realized that actually it's been people, relationships, and family all the time.
All the time,
but you were telling yourself a different story. You were telling yourself the story that it was about technology and career.
Yeah, maybe I can find the technology that will help me to learn English, that help me to speak English.
For you were obsessed with technology.
Yeah. I was obsessed with technology because I work in IT industry all my life, and for me, I feel, I felt good and feel good right now that I work in this industry because I have an access, to some newest thing.
To innovations.
To innovations, yeah. And it keeps me like, I'm special. I'm not like average person. I know about technology, especially 20 years ago when in IT industry, it was just a few women. There wasn't a lot of women at that time. So I felt like I'm special. Yeah, I'm IT industry, but I don't speak English. What's the problem?
What was the problem?
I felt ashamed about it, because if I work in IT industry, it means I'm smart, right? I'm not an idiot. I can learn different things, but what's the point with English? And I was trying to find the right way, but it's about like we said previously that many teenagers, they are trying to find the purpose of their lives, right? And the answer is that you should find your own purpose.
You create your own purpose.
Create your own purpose. And for me, I realized that I should find my own way because there are not, something out of the box that will help you to learn something.
There's no one right way for everybody.
Yeah. You should find your own way. You should adapt new routine.
But what was, let's just clarify for the audience as well. When you said, I work in IT industry, you're not a software engineer. You sell e-commerce solutions, right? You sell those innovations.
20 years ago, I work as a software engineer.
Oh, you started as a software engineer. I didn't know that.
But then I realized, it's not for me. I prefer to, to be a salesperson. For many years, I was selling a B2B software for business, for big business companies.
Well, that's why English became a must skill,
English
because you had to talk to people
all this year.
And what have you been doing? Because you said I can't. It doesn't work. What didn't work for you? What was not working?
Typical, English courses.
You went to language schools?
Many times, and maybe 1 or 2 months after that courses, I could speak and understand on some level, but after that, it's like disappeared from my mind. Yeah.
Did you try private lessons?
Yeah, I tried.
Why didn't they work?
Maybe because you speak with the same person all the time, then you are going to another environment and you realized you understood nothing.
So you simply adapt, and you're learning to adapt
with one people,
to one person, and you're not learning to actually
with one person,
communicate.
It's not effective. For me it was a big shock. I had private lessons for 5 or 6 months
with a native speaker, or
no,
not with a native speaker,
with a Russian teacher, but she was good. It, it, she's not a problem. Me is a problem. So I had these private lessons, and then I was going to UK. I realized that I couldn't understand nobody in London. Then I was going to Cumbria region. I realized, oh my God, they speak more clearly. I can understand most of the trying to tell me. But in London it was a problem, you know, because of the different accent. Yeah, I was shocked. You know, after 5 or 6 months, I thought I'm prepared. I'm ready. I can go. I can speak. And then I was absolutely discouraged, you know, this situation, because I even don't know how to say I want to buy a coffee.
It is so funny that you say that, like 5 or 6 months, maybe society sells us false expectations, but everybody buys these expectations that if you have been working on your English skills for at least 5 or 6 months, you're going to achieve great heights. I remember myself, just yesterday I was telling the story, I was invited to give a lecture. I was telling the story yesterday. You said after 5 or 6 months, I was so confident in my English skills that I thought I'm going to rock it in London. Let me tell you the story. Like after 5 years at the university, so I'm a qualified English teacher, after 5 years of learning English day in, day out, every day, I went to the United States and I realized that I can understand only a third of what people are telling me after 5 years. And that was shocking too. I realized that there was something that I was doing wrong. I mean, I was good. I was very good at some things. I was terrible at listening and communicating. After 5 years, not 5 months, I had to learn so many more things on my own to catch up with what I really needed to learn. So I understand the frustration that you went through, but I'm thinking why society sells people such unrealistic expectations, and why people have such unrealistic expectations.
Lose weight in 2 weeks.
Yeah, lose weight in 2 weeks.
Speak
the same story.
English in 2 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, do a split in 3 weeks.
Do
How
split
about
in
that?
3
Yeah.
weeks.
It took me longer than 3 weeks. I remember that experience. It took me way longer. Maybe if you're a child, if you start your stretching routine as a child, but if you start as an adult, then no, 3 weeks is not going to be enough.
Then I realized that I should adapt this situation with English, that it should be my lifestyle routine, not just for 1 month, for 3 months, but for my life. I should do small exercise, but every day. The first I after London. Then I get back to Moscow. I should change my approach to English, because all my previous attempts they were unproductive, and I started realized how I should do it, and I was trying to find people who faced the same problems, and they find their own way.
Yes. It's funny, but all of them have their unique way.
Then somebody told me about you.
It was like a word of mouth?
Yeah.
Somebody told you.
Yeah. And I was following you on Facebook for a few months before I sent you the application to your writing course. I guess writing course was the first course.
You signed up for the writing course, and then you did the public speaking course.
After writing course, I was applied for public speaking course. And after that, we had the private course for my team.
Yeah. I did training for your team. That's right. What did you find here that was like? Why did you stay? So you did a lot of things. What was new for you here? What made you stay?
You know, I realized that English should be a part of my everyday life, but it shouldn't be boring. If it will be boring, it will not work. So I will need a creative example how to do it with joy.
With joy.
With joy, yeah.
So was this the creativity that you found here?
Creativity, and you know, it wasn't boring, and it was little exercises every time, something short that will take 15 or 20 minutes of my time.
And let's be very honest, I don't really teach English.
Yeah, it's not about teaching English,
I don't
it's
teach
about
English, yeah.
teach how to learn.
Yes. How to learn English, how to
Yeah.
communicate in English, but I don't teach English. I say this all the time. I teach communication skills in English. I teach strategies for advanced learners, but I
Yeah.
don't teach English.
Nobody can put English in my mind.
Yes. Only you can teach yourself.
Yeah.
And why did you enjoy writing? Because you
First of all, of course, it wasn't pleasure for me.
Yeah, you did enjoy it first, yeah, you told me.
It was hard.
very hard.
I suffered a lot, especially this exercise when we should write something every day. Even you provide us with the list of topics that we can choose. It was it was terrible to start, because I realized for every exercise, for every topic, for these 2 or 3 sentences, I am spending at least 1 hour to find the right words. And after that, I will send you my result, and you will send me feedback. And I realized I should change everything. Everything was wrong. But for me it was okay, because first, it was suffering, but after that it became a challenge.
But you applied your own effort. Like when I send you my feedback, when I send students my feedback, I show them how they can correct their own text.
Yeah.
It's not like I correct your own text. I tell you what to pay attention to.
No, it's not about like, we should change everything. Yeah, of course it was, it was valuable, because, you are trying to help us to think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm challenging you to think. I'm challenging you to think about the sentence, the word
Like,
order, the article.
Try to find
A better word.
another word.
Yeah.
Try to check how native speakers use this word. Just suggestions. And another point was, you provide us with a lot of resources I never heard about. Where can we find good examples, how people speak, how people use phrases or words? Because very often when you are trying to search something in Google or somewhere, you can find a lot of trash. And it's important to have proved resources.
Credible resources.
Credible resources, yeah.
I call them self-editing and self-correcting tools.
Self-correcting tools, yeah. Then we can trust.
Yes, that
It's
you can
important,
trust,
because
exactly.
when we communicate in our business activities with different type of people, especially in the UK or in the USA, we wouldn't like to to write like idiots, right?
Yes.
It shouldn't look like Nigerians come.
Exactly. However, on the other hand, a lot of people copy the emails and the language that other non-native speaking colleagues of
Yeah.
theirs use, and because people don't know what is the source, how I can check myself, and how to trust the source, they trust everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, my colleagues say this, my colleagues
Maybe they know better.
Maybe they know better. My colleagues from China use this phrase, so I am allowed to use this as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But they are also non-native speakers, and even native speakers make mistakes. So you need to know what is your source, and you want to check in with the source all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
But you were talking about this mentality that you used to have. I'm going to suffer for a little bit, but then I'm going to be done. Did you have this mentality when you started the writing course? Because I know it developed into something interesting. You still have a writing routine.
I started with this because my expectation was that I will take this course, I will finish it, and I will write perfectly. Then
I'll write a novel.
The truth is, when I complete the course, I realized I should take it again.
Okay. And you actually did, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. You did take it
I did
again.
it again, yeah.
But you still have a writing routine. That is the most fascinating to me.
I don't know how your writing course worked, but I started enjoying it. Maybe because of topics, maybe because of structure of this course, but step by step, I started enjoying it. I realized I started to understand the songs in English. It was like, my eyes are open.
Yeah, eye-opening moments. I know. It's a life-changing skill when you watch a movie and you understand everything without having to turn the subtitles on.
It's like, I start hear a lot of things.
Yes, exactly.
It's like I was deaf before, and now I can hear.
Exactly.
It's absolutely different. And that the moment was when I realized I am enjoying this routine.
That brings me the most joy too.
Because I know after 1 year I realized that my progress, it was, it's like if I've been doing it all my previous, I don't know, 15 years, I could be
Shakespeare. Or
Shakespeare, yeah.
Exponential, yeah, that's probably the word you were looking for. So it was very fast in 1 year. Can you tell us a little bit about your writing routine that you have right now? I'm curious, because now there is no pressure, there is no course, there are no deadlines. What do you still do?
My favorite is to work with short speeches. For example, I find a good short speech that inspired me. That I really like how that person tell it and what he or she tell.
How they put their thoughts in words.
Yeah. And after that, I am writing all the sentences.
So you transcribe the speech.
Transcribe the speech. And after that, I'm filming myself speaking the same. And I'm trying to replay all these phrases, all these intonations, pauses, and some important words. I'm trying to understand how they stress the words, how they trying to keep focus on the main idea with the short speech. Because very often in our life we have just 1 or 2 minutes to say something to important people, or somebody who is important for you, and you want to deliver your message clearly. And very often it's hard even in Russian language, right?
Very often people start with a 1 or 2 minute introduction. It's just an introduction to another introduction, and they end up saying nothing. I give people this advice. I know that writing should be structured: introduction, middle, the beginning, the middle, the end. The introduction needs to be there. I usually tell people, look, if you really need the introduction, write it down, but then delete it. Most of the time, people don't need this introduction, because this introduction does nothing for the audience. It is for them. So they're getting ready to speak. They're getting ready to deliver their main idea. It doesn't really serve the audience. It's for them.
Yeah.
But the exercise that you're describing is from the public speaking course. Do you do any writing? Do you have a writing routine where you really sit down and write something? Meaning create something?
Yeah, I'm writing my daily plans or monthly plans.
In English?
Yeah. I keep it in my notebook. I prefer to use my pen and paper.
Yeah.
And put it on the paper.
So you really write in longhand with a pen.
And I'm really enjoying it.
Do you write any journal entries, like how do I feel today, or any of the topics that we explored in the course? Do you write anything, any creative writing, I mean?
No, just my business and home personal plans and recipes.
And sorry?
Recipes.
Recipes. Oh, you write them down in English as well?
Yep.
Do you write a lot of emails still in English? I guess you do, right?
Yeah, it's my daily routine.
That doesn't count, but you probably write a lot of emails in English as well. Okay, that's interesting. How do your approach to learning in general, and especially to making mistakes, change? Again, if we take the span of 5 years, as you said, 5 years ago, you thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were a failure if you can't learn English. So you were making mistakes all the time, and it felt terrible. Did your approach to mistakes change as well?
You know, I just adopt the idea that I am not a Jesus Christ. I have flaws, and I can do mistakes
You're
like
allowed
other people
to make mistakes. So
that's how we learn. Without mistakes, we can. It's impossible to reach any goals because for example, when we are kids and trying to learn something, we do a lot of mistakes.
yeah, it's not like it's in every book.
But no, for example, small kids, they are trying to walk on hands, right?
They're crawling, you mean?
Because they're crawling. Of course, they are not to do it properly the first time, but none of them said, "Oh, I will not do it because I can't. It's impossible. It's not for me."
The question that I want to ask you is, look, it's what you're saying is obvious, and many adult people will agree with you.
Before that, I couldn't adopt it. Very often we told about it, but it's impossible. It's very hard to adopt it.
You mean to adopt this idea?
Yeah, to absorb this idea.
To absorb, so let it
I'm
sink
not
in.
special.
Oh yeah, maybe people think they're special.
Maybe.
And I'm the like there's always in every group there is one student who said when you start learning something new and the teacher will say, well, look, none of you are going to be perfect the first time you try. You're all going to make mistakes, and there's always going to be one person who says, no, I'm special. I'm going to make 0 mistakes. I'm going to be better than everyone else.
Or maybe I will make mistakes first month, but after that I will be perfect.
Never.
No.
I'm just wondering, at what point in life does this really sink in, and how many years does it take? Because as you said, everybody knows this stuff. Everybody has heard this example with little children who are trying to walk or crawl 1,000,000 times. There's so many books about it, yet there is so much shame in making mistakes. And when I look at students, adult students, I realize it's not fear, it's really shame. People are ashamed of making mistakes. And what do we do when we feel shame? We want to hide our faces, we want to run away, and we want to do nothing. Basically, the coping mechanism here is doing nothing.
Yeah.
Escape and do nothing. And after people make one mistake, they don't feel like they want to do it one more time. They want to try again because this shame is blocking them. And I'm wondering, why is it so deep rooted, and when did it start going away? Like, was there a moment, was there an event, or what caused this realization that it's just a normal process, just part of the process? There's nothing shameful in making mistakes.
When I was in London.
Oh, tell me about it. What happened in London?
London is like Babylon, right? A lot of people from different countries live in London. It's absolutely different communities, not like everywhere. I don't know. It's a special city.
Well, New York is the same, but I think people in New York are easier to understand. Well, at least for me, I don't know.
Maybe, but and after that I realized my accent is not the worst accent that exists. Yeah. And people can understand me. Yeah, I realized that I can tell something. People can tell something me back, and we can communicate. We understand each other. So that's how I realized that it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I can live after that.
And was it like, are we taught in schools that that's the end of the world? Or why do so many people share this mentality?
Maybe it's something that if you can.
It's so extreme. It's like the paralysis, it paralyzes people, especially adults.
I don't know the roots. It's hard to understand for me right now. I don't remember how it starts for me, for example, how it started.
Maybe it's joy, because the answer I have right now is, if you see learning as a path of suffering, and at the end of this path there's going to be some reward, and you're going to tell yourself, okay, I'm done. I can forget about this and never go back to this again in my life. You agree to suffer. And of course, you want to walk this path perfectly, holding your head high.
In all your glory.
Pride, yes. And you want to walk into this cloud of glory after you finish the course. Maybe that's why it's there, because people imagine this process needs to be flawless and perfect so that they can achieve some glory and fame at the end and be proud of their improvements. But when you start realizing that it's a game, not a game, but you play.
It's a game, yeah.
Well, it's like play maybe is a better word than game.
Play, yeah.
Joy, you know, there is so much joy in making a mistake and falling and standing up again. There's a lot of joy because you're learning how to do better next time.
For me, it was important to understand that nobody will judge me.
Yes, except you are the worst.
Even
judge.
more, nobody, they doesn't care.
Exactly, people don't care. That's true. But we are
They don't care.
worst judges. We're very harsh on ourselves. That's so true. When you learn anything in life now, what is your approach to that? What are you learning right now? Are you learning anything?
Yeah, I started learning Spanish. My kids, they bought me a few books.
Oh,
Yeah, and even audio sessions in Spanish, just to support me, to encourage me to do it. Because very often I said, "Oh, my English not so good. I am not ready to Spanish." No. The more languages you will learn, the better will be with that. Because my son, I mean my older son, he is how to say it? He obsessed with languages.
oh,
Yeah, and he's always learning Chinese or something like this. I even can't imagine. He has a lot of notebooks with different exercises in different languages. Now he's learning Serbian, Polish, and something else.
and he organizes his learning routine himself.
He's organized himself, absolutely. I never paid for additional lessons for him. He do it by himself. I don't know why. For me, it was always a miracle.
That these people exist, right?
Yeah.
But why Spanish? Is that because you work a lot with Latin America?
Yeah, because it's a second language after
English,
After English. Yeah.
So you want to
It's the most
understand your
popular,
clients better.
Yeah, and many clients lived in Latin America.
Oh, I see. Okay, good. But apart from like skills, like languages, are you learning anything? Well, as you said, your primary value is family,
Yeah,
people. Are
I
you learning?
always, I know that I'm sometimes a hard person, and for
You mean
me,
hard to deal with? Or what do you
hard
mean?
to deal with. Yeah, sometimes I could be rough, and for me, it's important to to understand how to communicate with people so that they can be happy to cooperate with me, because it's easy to have a position when you can tell somebody to do something and they will do it. But more productive way to communicate with people and do something with them when they want to do it, not because you tell them to do it, but because they think it's important for them.
Oh, you lead a team.
Yeah.
That's a very important skill for you.
And my family, for me, my team as well, right? I should lead my family, I should lead my team. And I want them to grow, I want them to be confident and smart. And but as I said, nobody can put knowledge in somebody's minds. People want to do it.
Is it really about knowledge, or is it about changing your behaviors, consciously changing your
But
behaviors?
it started with mind, I guess.
Yeah.
If before somebody will change his mindset, nothing will change.
What I meant to say is, do you really need additional knowledge, or is it enough to start focusing on consciously changing your behaviors? Like, do you need to read a book about how to communicate with your team, or do you rather need to start changing your behaviors?
It's
What's your
I mean,
approach?
it's both is important,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me. I like read. I like read books, and
Are you learning from somebody, let's say from a book, maybe from a course, how to lead a team and how to communicate?
yeah, I have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a business coach. He is a psychologist, and his specialization, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is to help businesses to help business leaders to manage teams,
Yeah. So
but do it, in human way.
in a human way. But as you said, no coach or nobody can put this in your head, can change your mindset, right?
Yes,
So it's kind of both. You do
it's both. I
this.
read books, I read some cases, I talk to people, I discuss my some, thoughts or my initiatives that I would like to apply with my coach, because it's quite hard to do it inside my own mind, because
Yeah.
we are social creatures.
We
We
need
need
to share.
somebody. We need to share some thoughts. We need feedback.
We need to share. We need validation. We need feedback. We need approval. We
Because
need all of this.
I can create any beautiful castles in my mind, but it doesn't mean it could be applied in real life.
The same with English.
Yeah.
People, when they practice on their own, they speak beautiful English when they're at home in their head. But when they go out into the world, turns out not everybody understands this English. Sorry, maybe I was not very clear, but actually what I wanted to ask you and what I want to understand is, as you said, I need both. What I see, for example, with students who learn is they think that gaining more and more knowledge is the most important thing. And knowledge can come in the form of written books or in the form of having sessions with a new coach, the newer the better. Maybe joining a community, joining a social group where you can have this exchange and feedback. These are all important things. But the problem that I see a lot is that people stop here and they think that, well, this is how I'm learning. I'm talking to people, I'm sharing, we're discussing something, I'm paying my coach, I'm reading books. This is the learning process. Whereas I think the second part is the most important part of the learning process is your daily practice. How do you implement what you're learning in your daily practice? That's where I was going with this. So you have a coach, that's important, you read books, but what do you do with your own behaviors? Like for me, for example, I realized that if I really want to change something, I need to create a routine. If I do something once or twice or once a year, it's not sustainable. It doesn't work. It will not bring any meaningful change. If I talk to my coach twice a week for 3 months, that's a routine. But it doesn't mean my life will change if I don't commit to doing something twice a week in my own real life situations.
For me, it was, first of all, to create some new routines with my family. If we are talking about family life, about kids, I realized we should do something together. For example, every weekend, at least every weekend. And the same with my team. We established some routines for meetings, for group meetings, for personal meetings, for sharing feedback, for discussing the challenges that maybe that we have, or maybe the problems that they can share with me and I can help. And with kids at the same time, when I started this routine with my family, they were suspicious.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what happened with Mama. But then they realized that it's fun, and now they like it, and now they asked me, what we will do on weekend? What's the plan? But I see that they expect from me that I will tell them what we will do on weekend. They don't have their own plans. Or sometimes I said, okay, for example, the first part of the day will be for our common activities, but during the evening we will do something that you will decide what you will do.
So it's very creative planning process
Yeah.
for you, but as you said, they expect you to figure everything out. what do you think is the most important skill that we need to learn, that we need to teach children? Like, because when you talk about these values, learning, as a teenager, I never thought about this. And I realized only now how important it was to learn to think about it earlier.
For me, the first thing is to wash the dish, to mop the floor,
To take care
to
of yourself?
to fix something in the house. It's important because it helps children. For me, it's for sure to take responsibility on their life.
Do you only mean like taking care of yourself and like cleaning up after you made a mess, or
Clean your room, make a food for you, for yourself.
prepare some food?
Yeah, prepare some food.
But fixing something in the house, for example, that involves some physical labor. Or do you really mean physical labor too?
Yeah, I mean physical labor. It's important, you know. It's. I remember the story when I was young, and some old woman told me, "Oh, she had two girls. They were adult already, and they do nothing in the house. You know, never make their beds, and nothing." And she always said, "Oh, they're so lazy. How it's possible? I help them to do everything. I just want them to spend all their time for learning, for schools, for making exercises, and zero results. And for me, you know, it's like a red flag. I don't want my kids to be like this. If I will do something instead
Of them.
yeah,
They will never learn.
no, they will never learn. And just, you know, absolutely useless persons.
But do you teach them that it's their choice, or do you teach them that it's mandatory?
You know, because I was thinking about my career, very often I was going to business trip, and they lived without me 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes month, and I always said them, "This is the money for food. This is the food in the fridge. You know how to cook simple food like fried eggs or something. So please." I will just call you and ask you, "How are you? Please answer my calls." That's it.
Okay, so they were able to manage on their
Yeah.
own. So it was not mandatory, but it was like the reality, right?
Yeah, it
That
was the reality.
that they had to deal with.
Because it will be mandatory. They will, they will refuse sometimes. All kids do this. I don't want to do it.
Do you think we can?
Please do it for me, Mom. You are my mom.
Do you think we can teach them? So because they need to learn so much, do you think we can teach them the concept of choice? Like you can choose your values actually, and the concept of joy, that there is joy in learning. Because so many kids see homework as punishment, and they see learning sometimes as punishment.
Because they don't enjoy, for example, when house is clean. They don't understand what's the value of clean house.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can we teach them that? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
And who is responsible for teaching this? A parent,
Parents,
obviously.
of course, yeah. Nobody.
And,
Except parents.
and then do we really need
Even
to,
not school,
And even if you do we
Yeah.
need to explicitly teach it, or do we need to teach ourselves? Because children just absorb.
It's our job as parents.
Yeah, children absorb everything they see, so they just copy, like little copycats. They copy everything we do. I think, like, I work with a group of teenagers right now, and I think it's fundamental that we teach them that it's their choice to learn. For example, I run a club for teenagers, a story club and a book club, and they join for free. It's their decision. It's their conscious decision, not because their mama pays for it, not because I tell them to come. It's their conscious choice. They're already 14, 15, 16, 17. They understand that they have a power. They have the power to choose to come or not to come. And they choose to come. I always remind them that it's their choice. And if they want to improve their English skills, here are some exercises that you can choose to do. And when they do them and they go, of course, they come back to the person who gave them the exercise and they say, "Oh, I did it, and this is how it worked," or "It didn't work. I need more help." And I think this is so important to show them that when they make a conscious choice, then they can find joy in it. When somebody tells them what to do, there's very rarely joy in that process. They just feel that they have to comply. But when it's their conscious choice, it's so much easier to find joy in it.
I think, that many people don't understand what they will do with this knowledge. It's about motivation as well. For example, if teenagers know what they will do with it or how they will use it, of course they will choose to come. But for example, if they have another option that looks more attractive,
Yeah.
for example, go to nightclub or something like this, they will choose
Yeah, they will.
another option.
I agree with you on the and I also know a lot of teenagers like who are just like I was. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just knew that I like English, and that was enough for me. I just liked it.
Like my son, I don't know why
Yeah, why is he
all
learning
these
languages? Is there any
yeah.
practical purpose?
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably not today.
He's just enjoying it.
Yes,
It's a miracle.
So it's important to understand, like, some people are very practical and they need to see the end goal. Well, at least this practical application. Some people just find joy in it. And for me, the practical application was that I can say that or I can read the book, I can watch a movie and I can understand it. This was the most practical you can think of. Like, this was really enjoying. I was enjoying that a lot. Thank you so much for this conversation. Is there anything you wanna add now to everything we've said about values and learning? I actually want to go back to this idea of honesty. Are you now committed to being honest with yourself about your values?
Yeah, now I think that this is the most important part of self-growing, because until I wasn't honest with myself about my goals, about what I want, what I really want in my life, any progress wasn't possible.
And when you're honest, progress can happen faster.
Yeah,
right?
much faster.
Thank you so much. I wish you a
Thank
lot of
you.
success with all your routines and with all your learning. And let's be honest. That's a good line to end this
It's a
interview.
good point. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.